Hi, third graders. Let's check our language arts for page 479. And it is adverbs that tell when or where. The directions for 1 through 10 say write each sentence. Write if the underlined adverb tells where or when. So remember, the best thing to do when you are looking for the adverb is to find the verb first, the action word. And then ask yourself, is the adverb that's underlined telling where or when the action happened? So let's look at number 1. The divers finished the training yesterday. So what did the divers do? They finished yesterday. So does yesterday tell us where they finished or when they finished? It tells us when. Number 2, today they will make their first dive. So what will they do? Will make. And does today tell us where, like a place, or when, like a time? Today tells us when. All the divers arrived early. What did the divers do? They arrived. And does early tell us where they arrived or when they arrived? Tells us when. Number 4, first they checked their air tanks. What did they do? They checked the air tanks. And first, does that tell us where they checked it or when they checked it? It tells us when. Number 5, the divers then boarded the boat. So what did the divers do? They boarded. And does then tell us where they boarded or when they boarded? It tells us when. 6, the boat took them out to sea. What did the boat do? It took them. And does out tell us where it took them or when it took them? It tells us where. Number 7, soon they will arrive at the diving spot. What will they do? Will arrive. So does soon tell us where they will arrive or when they will arrive? It tells us when they will arrive. 8, another boat floats nearby. What does another boat do? It floats. So does nearby tell us where it floats or when it floats? Nearby tells us where it floats. 9, the divers go into the water now. What do the divers do? They go. Does now tell us where they go or when they go? Now tells us when they go. 10, the swimmers look around. What do the swimmers do? They look. Around tells us where or when they look. It tells us where. Okay, part B for 11 through 20 says write the sentences, draw a line under each verb. So again, we're looking for the action verb, and then 2 lines under the adverb that tells where or when the action takes place. So we're going to start with the verb first. We're going to draw 1 line under the action and 2 under the adverb. Alex will dive first. So what will Alex do? He will dive. So that's our verb. And then when or where will he dive? Well, he'll dive first. That tells us when. Number 12. Next, Tara dives. What does Tara do? She dives. And next tells us when she's going to dive. Number 13. Franklin jumps there. Franklin jumps is the verb. And then there tells us where he jumped. Soon, Alex is breathing easily. Alex is breathing is our verb. And then the adverb that tells us where or when is soon. Now, in this case, easily is an adverb. However, that tells us how. We need to know the when or where. So soon tells us when. He swims down. So what does he do? He swims. So 1 line. And then down tells us where he swam. 16, Tara sees him underwater. What does Tara do? She sees, so one line, and then where or when underwater tells us where she sees him. 17. Franklin dives last. What does Franklin do? Dives, and last tells us when. Finally, the other divers follow. What do the other divers do? They follow, that's your verb, and then finally tells us when they follow. 19. The pleased instructor waits nearby. What does the instructor do? Waits. So that's your verb. And then nearby tells us where he waits or she waits. 20. Later, the happy divers describe their dives. What do the divers do? Describe, and later tells us when they describe. All right, boys and girls, make sure you fix anything that you have incorrect. Make sure your name, the date, and the page number in the top corner of your paper, and put it in your red reading folder so I can collect it during the next folder exchange. Good job checking your work, boys and girls, and we'll see you next time.